Nice to see a full house. Might look a bit small, but coming. You're all welcome. I be sharing tips and tricks on unlocking. I'm Rahma Nampala, and I work with Outbox. I'm the gender and inclusion lead. I'm excited to see you all. With me is
Hi everyone. My name is Perez. I work with Outbox as a programs lead, and I'm a project innovator, the Outbox side.
so as we get ready to start, I believe by what I is why we are having the Women Accelerator. But this session, for this session, we are going to be taking you through how do you unlock the investment? How do you get questions? So it's going to be a very interactive session. Please feel free. To start us off, I'm going to let Perez take the first part.
Thank you, Rahma. Like I said, my name is Perez, and I'll be quickly walking us through what High Innovator is about, what we want to see. So Innovator is an initiative of NSSF Uganda in partnership with Mastercard Foundation, and Outbox is the lead implementing partner. Um, so, so that's our agenda. We'll quickly walk what High Innovator is about, and then the process of High Innovator. Like I mentioned, High Innovator is an initiative of NSSF and in partnership with Mastercard Foundation. It's implemented by Outbox. So it's a program for 5 years, and this is our 3rd year. And like my colleagues mentioned earlier, we've so far selected 106 businesses to receive seed funding. We've so far run 2 cohorts. The first cohort selected 28 businesses. We hope to select 100 businesses, but unfortunately we didn't. But in the second cohort, we managed to get 78 out of 80, which was a good improvement. What you see there on the screen are our goals over the next 5 years. We want to select up to 500 businesses who are going to receive funding, and we have a pool of $10 million to seed fund this. From the 500, we hope that 20% of them will go on to scale, which represents 100, and that these 500 businesses, so also, like we mentioned, one of the things, or one way of joining, the only way actually of joining High Innovator is through our training platform, which we call the Business Academy. And from there, we hope to train 75,000 entrepreneurs. As we stand, we are at about 9,500. So we still have a long way to go. Another thing that is one of the things that we want to do is to also work with the ecosystem people that are already existing. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, or entrepreneurship support organizations, or what you call hubs, who are going to help us build pipeline for the program. And so far we are 10 hubs. Outbox is the first one. Then the other 9 are Impact, MIC, Shona, Mobs, Stanbic Incubator, We2, Curad, Mkazipreneur, and UC Yumbali. So that means if you're joining the program and you're in Mbale, you don't have to say Outbox is your hub. You can easily say, I want to work with UC Yumbale. You receive the same support throughout. So those are our partners, but we're going to recruit more as we proceed. So that's the overview. I don't know if anyone has a question, anything you'd want to what I've talked about or anything that's not clear, please ask. Yes, please. I was spread in the country. So I think currently where we don't have a supporting partner, Karamoja we do not for now. Which other region is there? Yes, I think it's mainly Northern Uganda where we don't really have a partner. But Stanbic, the good thing about Stanbic Bank is that it has branches almost everywhere in the country. So if you're working with Stanbic Incubator, then definitely you receive support from almost anywhere in Uganda.
I know how one can.
Hey, that's a very good question. So like I mentioned, the only way you can join our program where we work with these partners is through the Learning Academy. So as you're signing up, as we're going to show you later, you get a chance to either pick the hub you want to work with, or it will automatically assign you to a hub based on your location. So if you say you are in Kampala, then the hubs that are in Kampala will have they'll be the ones, or one of them will be the one allocated to you. It's done automatically. So you either select based on your preference, or it's assigned to you automatically based on your location. But that's at the point of you expressing interest and enrolling for the Learning Academy. I hope that's clear. Okay. Also the question side, we are so quiet. Want more? Okay. Thank you. So we're going to invite Isabella. Yeah, so we as Ugandans, we love fish, and she saw a gap in the market and decided to invent or do a business. Yeah, so someone was asking about the selection criteria. We will talk about that a little later. Her experience from the time she enrolled for the Learning Academy until this point when she's waiting to receive her first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isabella Katresije. I am the CEO and team leader at Fresh Chenyanja. What we do at Fresh Chenyanja is basically delivering on our promise for fresh, clean, and tasty fish at your doorstep. What's, I think, unique about our story is that we started in COVID. I had lost my job. I was desperately looking for a source of income. And I looked around and saw that people don't actually access fresh fish, especially lockdown where beaches were closed. People were asking for beachy fish and all these things. So we worked around that to define our problem statement. So the problem of limited access to fresh fish led us to where we are now. We have been able to serve about 3,000 clients, 40%, and why I am here is to encourage you to start where you are, because we started organically. I started from my dad's kitchen. And also what's unique is that we started by listening to our clients. So we started with estates, people who were, well, many people would gather like estates or where they live, and we would just keep delivering fish. So because we were listening to clients, we kept growing our product line. So we started with fresh fish, and now we're at 8 products of fish. Yeah. I don't know how I should be able to tackle the question. Do I start with the high innovator? Do I start with high innovator? Okay. I got to know about high innovator through a friend. Again, I had shared my story with a group of people that I fellowship with, and someone actually inboxed me and said, Bella, NSSF is looking for women like you, people who are starting up and don't have enough money, or trying to get your way around the entrepreneurial journey. I was very excited because as an entrepreneur, the first thing you're thinking about is capital, or how to start, how to, look for capital. And he said, they give money about 30,000 USD, and then you learn a lot. Again, because I had not had something of a sort, around or anywhere. So I quickly jumped on. I asked him for a link, and he shared a gentleman's number who was now part of the hub. So when you join or when you show interest, they attach you to a hub. Yeah, the hubs that Perezi had talked about prior, those are some of the hubs now. So the gentleman linked me up to a hub, and this hub walks with you throughout the journey. So where you have questions like, am I going to pass the course? Is the course very hard? How is it like? There's always someone the other side who is holding your hand through it all. Yeah. So this gentleman belongs to Impact still, so that's a hub that I'm attached to. And they were very, very helpful. I had so many questions. I was confused. I'm like, does my business qualify? Do I even have enough? When I looked at NSSF, I'm like, whoa, do I actually have enough? Do I have what it takes for me to actually subscribe for something like this? And then the gentleman said, no, they're actually looking for startups. So people were actually trying to get their feet onto the ground. And like most Ugandans, I'm thinking, maybe there's a catch, 30K that time. I'm like, okay. But at the end of the day, I focused more on what I'm going to get out of it. So I get onto the hub, and there's a course that you'll go through for the start. And I also realized that when we started, we were so many on the WhatsApp group, and people kept dropping off. And I was very curious. I asked my hub, Jackson, who now was helping me. I said, Jackson, ever stick there? The course requires you to give it some bit of your time. If you can actually say, let me focus and give it a bit of 2 hours a day, I will go through the course. So the earlier you give it time, the faster you finish. You can even drag it along. But how about you commit a certain time of your day to say, let me actually stick around and do this. So I realized that people were dropping off because they would just get in there, see that Shillong thing of the course, and of course the questions that need you to think, to lay out a business plan. They're actually trying to organize your business, especially if you're a startup and you're looking for that. Because most of us don't have that. How many organizations do you know that will actually come up and say, this is how you're supposed to be doing this is how it's done, I am keeping you accountable, something like that. Yeah, so they actually do that, and most people will not commit time. So it's not as hard. I'm not here to actually say scare you, but it's a thing of commitment. And like any other entrepreneur, you have to know what you want. What's in for you at the end of the day? Because I realized that it was more about the knowledge that you'd get out of it than even the money. The money is the end goal, yes. But it's more about the knowledge that you get along the way. You'll see once you subscribe or once you actually show interest, the topics that they talk about, the topics that you will learn. One of them is personal development. Things that now make you a better leader, that make you a better entrepreneur to run your organization. Yeah, and you'll find that in the end, you're actually evolving as you take on this entrepreneurship journey. The other thing was about, yes, so you finish the course, and you have to make sure that, of course, you pass. Still, again, the hubs are there to help us. If you have any questions, if you have any confusion, they will always help. And the beauty about the High Innovator, or why I liked it, is that most of us are starting up. Most of us are finding our way. So you won't find questions like, where do I get a teen from? How do I do this? How do I get a referral letter from this and that? You'll find that it's okay to ask because the people you're surrounded with are also trying. It's a community of people that will actually walk with you. You get my point? So feel free to, because I've met people who have actually asked me, Bella, if I am to get in there, do I have what it takes? Do I have, all these things? But they're actually looking for people like you and I, for us to actually get our businesses on ground, and they take off because they are sharing this knowledge, the financing, and all these other benefits that come with it. Again, when you already know what you want and you're solving a problem, it's way, way easier. You find that it's easier for you to break the barriers, especially the barriers that come with women accessing finance and all these other things. You find if you know the problem you're solving, like I told you when I started by selling fish, you know, there was this whole thing of women can't sell fish or fish and this, and where I even come from, fish is like it's a whole foreign thing. You get my point, especially tagged to a woman and all these things. But I would go to a landing site by myself, a woman, and get that fish, you know, until I actually built a system to do all that. So it's a thing of starting with where you are, with what you have, and the rest is history, honestly. Yeah, unless someone else has a question. Yes, please.
I logged onto the system, by the way, some time ago. I think I would already be done. But then, so at what point do you be attached like to a helper? Like someone to take you through? Is it at the course level or after that online course? Then secondly, then that WhatsApp support group, when you get in, is it all after? Because some of us really need, some of us with online things, I think we need support somehow.
So let me take this. So you get attached to the hub at the point of you enrolling for the course, right? So once you have enrolled for the course, the hub gets to know that, okay, I have a learner X that is attached to my hub. They'll reach out to you and of course ask you, do you want to be part of a WhatsApp group? Because it's not automatic that everyone wants to be in a group. Every hub has different ways of operating. Others might have WhatsApp groups, others may not. But they'll always be in touch with you in any other way, like can either be via email or phone calls or WhatsApp, whatever you prefer, but they'll be in touch.
Of course, kindly resume. But then, no one has ever reached out. Yeah, and honestly, okay, I know how I entered into that is I've ever from Outbox, but then I have not felt like their presence. I just have to be calling Bob, and I find it so disturbing. You know, because I really feel like he's up there. Maybe I needed someone I can easily like contact who is available.
Okay.
So do I have to go back and restart for me to come back to the system, or I can just...
No, so you can continue. So I think the reason why you see no one has probably followed up is because we've been operating a cohort model. So when we have a deadline, once a deadline that's hit, we move with the ones who have completed. So for you who are still continuing, we'll come back to you later. When, yeah, not like now that we're opening, we'll probably come back. But yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Isabella. I would like to ask, how long has it taken you to reach from here? How long has it taken you to reach there? Like as now that you're at the verge of getting the money, and then did you just start like you did not register the business, like you were just like, because when I was there and they were talking about 2 years and something, I was scared. I'm like, but some of us are just starting. How can I be having 2 years and most probably I'm still looking for money?
So thank you for the question. The ideal would be that your business should be registered. That's the ideal. And also by the time I started, I had a business name in the system. I had a business name, I had reserved Fresh Chenyanja, way longer. And then I was in the final processes of like registration, like the final bit of registration. So by the time I got onto the program, I actually had to finish that. So when I was talking about the teen and all these things, it was coming from a point of the hub actually even assisted me to finalize that process. Does that make sense? Yeah. But also just to add on that is that you will learn a lot. There are topics that are in there that kind of trigger your mind to think about, to draw the big picture of your business. things like market potential, things that we are not used to as business people. Someone operates a business for a long time, and they're not aware of their market potential, their ideal or target client, their unit economics, like how much they make off each product that they sell. Some are actually still gambling, however much they have been in business. That's why you see that we are big at starting up, but continuing and maintaining is a very hard thing, because most of us lack such basic things. And that's why High Innovator is here. It's here to iron out certain things like that. Right from the onset, you can be able to jump on and get organized, or even make it scale up because of what they give you along the way. Yeah.
So allow us take the remainder of the questions a little later so that we catch up on time. Yeah. Yes. So moving on to the next slide, we are going to talk about the academy and what that looks like. So part of what you get from the academy is guidance and hands-on support from the ESOs that we have already talked about. I think on that point we are okay. Then obviously the hands-on practical industry guidance on how to develop the building elements of your business. Like Bella has mentioned, you might have those bits that are not yet complete. She talked about URA, she talked about URSB, so yes, those bits. In addition, yes, you get a certificate of participation from a recognized university, and also get to receive obviously linkages to financing and technical support, both during the period of the accelerator and after, because during this period is when we identify what your needs are and how can we support. So how does one join the High Innovator community? And so right there is the link that takes you to the High Innovator Business Academy. So when people ask, okay, you're talking about a launch, you're launching the High Innovator Women Accelerator, how does one participate? That is the starting point. It all starts with the accelerator. You join, you sign up, you click on that link, sign up on the academy, do the foundational course, you complete it, then we're going to talk about the next steps after that. So that is a sneak peek of what the page looks like the moment you get onto it. Then, yes, so who can join the accelerator? People have already asked, do I have to have a business? Can I join if it's just an idea? This is where we answer that bit. So, yes, so any individual that's interested in acquiring entrepreneurship skills, or you have an idea, you're welcome to the academy. You're running a business, it's still a place for you. Or you're still in to sign up, because it's going to help you establish how do you get it from idea to actually being a feasible business. And during that time, you're getting all the other things. That there's about 2.5 hours of video content. And what do you need to access the content? You must have a laptop or a computer. You can still access the course using your smartphone. You must have a reliable internet connection so that things don't. Then we have a collaboration with Airtel. For those that use Airtel internet, you could dial that code in there to get the subsidized internet package for accessing the academy. I wait a second for people to give it a try. All right. Yes, so
learning bundles or something like that. And if you want to verify that High Innovator is part of them, I think there's a number you click, I think it's 7, and then you'll see the list of courses that are supported under.
All right. So what is the expected output out of the academy? Upon course completion, you're issued a certificate, and you also get a business teaser. This comes in really handy when you're pitching and for financing institutions to know what it is that what is the business and what is it that you want. Then a business plan where you get to set out the objectives, your strategies on how you're going to achieve the objectives, and all this is collected from the submissions that you make during the course of the within 24 hours of you submitting. I know for those that have already tried out the academy, you've seen this. When you submit your assignment on a weekend, you'll get a response on Monday because we are out of office at that time, and it's not automated because we have to first look through what your responses are. Do they meet what we are looking for? Then we approve. To avoid rejections and delays, you have to correctly fill out the required information. So you cannot proceed to the next module unless you have filled in the correct information. Then you shouldn't skip all the ones that have. So.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I work with Outbox, and I'm working on EduTech, trying to improve the learning experience within the education sector. But I haven't got to Outbox, and I haven't got the experience on how to understand High Innovator and the criteria is needed. And on my side, the problem that I'm facing mostly is funding, and trying to do family and friends investment. It's kind of very hard to make people understand what one is trying to come up with within the sector. And we are trying to get the experience. And for me as the CEO and just starting up, my colleague is out of country, so I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do next. Because of the funding, I cannot do more research and to understand more. So how does High Innovator help me out? Even registration, I haven't done anything about it. So if they are asking for criteria and I have nothing, how do you advise me accordingly?
Okay, that's a good one. So in these cases where we would want to find out, first of all, your level of commitment. How do you intend to actually start operating? Because it's one thing to have an idea and it's one thing to execute. You as an individual, what are you doing for yourself? Because it's based on what you're doing that the rest then pitch in. So if you know that for me to unlock the funding, I need to have this and this and this in place, are you actually taking the steps to get those bits in place? However, we are going to get into the session of how do you unlock the funding. After you've gone through the academy, how do you get to the funding? So first hang in there, we're going to get to that section. One more question.
Thank you so much. My question was, I think there is something you did not answer about what are the conditions on that fund in case you've got it. Is it like you refund it back, all those other things? Then my question was, I heard in the morning that at least you need to have a premium of minimum of 2M. Yeah, sorry, either 10M or something. Yeah, so truthfully, most of our businesses as we are starting, you're not sure of how things start. You're here gathering information. Even at times you gather money from here and there. But at the end of the day, you can finish those 2 years when it's not that premium. So how is that person helped? For sure, if it is helping a person to do what? Yes, so that's my big question.
Okay, so I like the level of commitment that is in here and the level of persistence as well. You mentioned that question on how does your question and the previous questions are all on how does one actually unlock the funding and what are the conditions. We are getting to that point. Yes, we're going to take you through it. Right now, what we have talked about is how do you start? What is the journey to getting this money? And we have said for the academy, everyone can access it. You don't need to have anything in place to access the academy. Because remember earlier on, part of our slides, we said that we want to have so many learners on the academy. These are the ones that then translate into the number of businesses that are getting funded. So in the following slides, we are going to look at, after the academy, what next? What are the conditions for you to get the money? We are getting there. Allow us to get into the next session. I believe a lot of the questions that you have could be answered in that next part.
So I'm going to walk us through the accelerator. So you finish the course, you have a business teaser, you have a certificate of completion, and you have a business plan, right? Okay, so at that point, your hub, of course, will be excited about you. You finish the course, now they go back and say, okay, we have business, maybe we call our business what? Mestil, right? It has finished the course, it has this document in place, but does the business actually fit the criteria? This criteria is actually the one we use throughout. We just made a few changes for the Women Accelerator, given the fact that we tried to do some, we heard from what entrepreneurs want, but also there was only so far that we could bend, yeah? Because there's a quality we are looking for that we can't compromise. So like I said, you have to have evidence of completing the course, yeah? The next thing is that, of course, you must be registered with URSB. And you must have a TIN. When it comes to NSSF registration, that's not a must at that point, but we can help you register, because by the time you actually qualify, you must be registered for NSSF. Even if you have 2 employees, I think there was a law that was passed where every company must be registered with NSSF. Before it was optional if you have less than 5 employees, but now as long as you are a company and you're employing people, you must be registered with NSSF. So when it comes to NSSF registration, your hub can support you with registering. We have contact people from NSSF that are willing to actually help you register. Then your business should have been operational or active in the last 2 years. So even if you are not registered before with your RSB, but you have evidence that I've been operating, that is okay. If you have evidence. So now that's why we say record keeping is actually very, very important. Yeah? Then you must employ at least 2 full-time staff, and 50% of them being youth. And our age bracket is 18 to 35. Then because this is a women accelerator, we want a business that has 50% women ownership. And in a case where the man has, say, 60%, the woman has 40%, we want to see that the people in top management positions are actually women. So we want to front women. And that the people who are employed, of course, in the business have to be Ugandans, at least 70% of them. Then when it comes to the revenue, you should have at least raised, raised 10 million shillings in revenue. This is less than 1 million per month for every business. So in the last 1 year, if you've raised 10 million, you qualify. But the good thing is that between now when you're joining the course and 8 weeks from now, actually more than 8 weeks, until January, you have the chance to push your sales and show that, guys, I've raised 10 million in the last 12 months. Then for someone who has... 10 million.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. Push your business. like we said, we have a quality that we know it is. We have a quality of a business that we are looking for, so there's only so far we can go, guys. 10 million for us we believe is a fair value because, like I said, that's less than 1 million per month in sales. Then when it comes to, okay, again, raising money, you shouldn't have raised more than $1 billion in terms of debt or grants or anything. So anyone who has raised more than 1 billion, you can't qualify. And the reason for that is that we believe that the 20,000 will not have much impact in your business, but also we want to give chance to the people who have never maybe raised funding, or they just need this 20,000 to do something big for them, which may not have value to someone who has already raised 1 billion, to allow them take 6% equity stake. When you join the program, yes, from the time you join the program until the point when you leave. But the thing is that it's not a must for them to exercise. And the reason why they put that 6% is, one, entrepreneurs must know that there is no free money. Yeah? There's never free money. If it's free money, it still has some conditions to it, you just don't know it yet. And they also want to encourage you to work hard so that you push them out. So in the contract you're going to sign, it's going to say that every time you raise 200 million, either in your revenue or you've raised money from grants or from investors, you dissolve them by 2%. At the point when you've dissolved them twice and now the remaining share is 2%, you have a conversation with them and you either agree if they're going to walk away without exercising their share, or they'll want to maybe, you want to actually buy them out, depending. But that's a point when you can start having conversations. But if within the 5 years they haven't reached out and said, let's talk about this 6%, automatically the 20,000 becomes a grant. So we're calling it a convertible grant. Convertible grant. So when you're receiving it, it's not a grant. It only becomes a grant at the point when NSF says, I'm not exercising my 6% equity stake, I'm going to walk away. There it becomes a grant. 5 years later. But that shouldn't discourage you guys, because time actually moves very fast. And I am sure in the next 5 years, you would have raised that 400 million. If at all we put in new money and you know, and you set out to do the right thing, you would actually hit that target. The 200 million? No, every time. If you do it in a year and you raise 400 million, their 4% is gone. So it's not every year, it's every time you raise 200 billion. Then for the Women Accelerator, we are going to welcome all sectors. So the first cohort that we ran was only for agriculture. The second one had 5 sectors, but now we are welcoming all the sectors. So it doesn't matter what you do, if you're in fashion, beauty, agriculture, tech, anything you're doing, as long as you're making money, you're welcome. So this is how the process looks like. Like we mentioned, from the point when you finish the academic course, we get in touch with you. The OHAB gets in touch with you to just confirm that your business is in line with what we are looking for in terms of criteria. Now, at that point, when they are interacting with you, that's what we call a light due diligence. They're getting to know, are you actually registered? Do you have proof that you're registered? How many people do you actually employ? They verify these things, but it's a desk review. They don't come to your offices. They just call you and ask you to provide some information. So when they see that you're a fit, you are invited to what we call a pre-selection bootcamp or a pre-investment bootcamp. And this bootcamp is usually about 3 to 4 days. And the purpose for this bootcamp is to help the entrepreneur better communicate their businesses. Because some of us, I am aware, have never actually pitched, and you'll be facing 5 to 6 investment committee members trying to convince them to give you that 20,000, and it's not an easy task. So the reason why we usually hold that bootcamp is to make sure you can actually communicate your business, you know what problem you're solving, what's your value proposition, how do you make money, right? When they ask you what's your business model, you can actually explain it. If they ask you, how much do you spend per unit you're producing, you know those figures. And that's the reason why we usually do that boot camp. And because the committee that sits to review your applications or to listen to your pitches has different experience, some of them are really interested in the numbers. Because the reason why NSSF is actually investing in you is to make sure that you grow, you make money, employ more people, and then remit contributions. From there on, your hub will hold pitch practice sessions after the boot camp. They will invite you to hold pitch practice sessions. This can either be virtual or face-to-face, depending on what they desire. But usually that's a small arrangement. When it comes to the pre-selection bootcamp, that one is everyone who has qualified. You come to a room and you learn. But for the pitch practice, it's usually at the hub level. Yeah? Then from there, now one thing to note is if you do not come for the bootcamp, automatically you're disqualified. If you're invited, because we usually communicate 1 to 2 weeks before cancelled. Because that's how they see that you're unserious, you're not committed. Because that's how we start measuring how committed are you to your business and to the program. From there on, now we proceed to pitch day. So usually what we see is that the pitch day numbers reduce because some people either did not come for the boot camp or, yeah. So the moment you come for boot camp, you just know you're one step close to actually getting the money. All you have to do is actually sell that business of yours. So at pitch day, you get the chance to sell your business. From all the knowledge you've learned at the boot camp, and when you're doing the course, this is the time for you to actually apply it. You usually have 7 minutes to pitch and about 8 minutes or 7 minutes of questions from the judges, who we call the investment committee. So on this day, that's when actually we usually declare the results that same day. So we declare the results and say maybe we've selected 100 businesses, but we call them provisional winners. Reason being, we need to do a second due diligence, which is now physical. We come to your business and say, okay, you told me you have 10 acres of land. Where is the title? Where is this land? Where is it located, right? You told me you have a machine that produces maybe 10 tons per hour. Where is it, right? Yes, so we come and verify. You said you have 10 employees. Where are they? Yeah? You said you're located in, say, Nansana. Are you actually located there? So that's what we come and do, just to make sure that there are no barriers to investment. So you shouldn't fear this exercise because it's meant to also identify some gaps that you may need to address that may be hindering you from progressing to the next stage. Because sometimes as a business owner, you're stuck in your circle, you're not associating with anyone else, and you think my things are the ones they should be working, but they're not working, and you do not know why, right? You don't have money to go and say, okay, let me get a consultant X, come and diagnose my business and find out what's wrong. So this is a chance for us to come in. It's usually done by the hub. They come in, ask you a few questions, but now we made it a self-assessment, but we also ask you a few questions just to see that if there are any gaps that may hinder you from raising further funding after the program, we try and address them during the accelerator phase. So once the due diligence is done and you don't have, unless there is a particular change where you want to change and now I no longer want a machine, we of course would want to know why, but now we usually ask you to plan based on your ask, and you must know how that ask is going to affect your revenue, your employment numbers, and things like that. Able to actually get that funding from these banks or any other investor. So, sure, no business. Once you don't show up, we believe or we assume that you're not interested, and so we leave you in teams because they help you see things in a different perspective, knowledge all the time. At what point does it get to be applied to the rest of the team and the business? So work in teams. We always advise that at the very least, have 2 people with you all the time. Yeah? Then from experience, we have seen that we shall not be supporting people who want to buy land. So as you're coming to pitch, once you qualify, please don't come and say, when you give me land, I'll do X, Y, and Z. We don't fund purchase of land. And also because the Ugandan system of land ownership is quite complicated. So we've decided as a program, we shall not fund anyone who wants to purchase land. So these are our timelines. So when we launch today, as we've launched, the next thing is for you to enroll for the course. So the course can be done within 2 to 8 weeks. But because I know sometimes we get distracted, we get busy, the earlier you start, the better. We don't want to get to a point when it's a deadline on 31st January, and now you're fumbling. Yeah, you're calling, Bob, please approve my assignment. Jackson, you understand? So the deadline for undertaking the course is 31st January. At that point, we shall close. We will not close the platform, it will stay open, but we shall not pay attention too much to those people who have not what? Finished. We shall move with those ones who have finished. We shall start looking at them. Actually, the earlier you finish, the better, because when you finish, the hub picks interest in you and trying to see, do you actually fit our criteria, as opposed to you waiting until 31st January. Finish earlier, they start picking interest in you. Anything that's not in place, you work on it and you qualify. After that, we'll proceed to the pre-selection bootcamp, which is going to happen in February, the week of 6th to 10th. Then from there on, like you see, the timelines are a bit tight, especially after you finish the course. So make sure you have everything in place. The earlier you finish, the better, so that the hub has more time to spend with you to prepare you for the accelerator. Then we'll proceed to have the pitch day, which we've scheduled for 20th to 24th of February. So depending on the numbers we get, we shall have either a one-day event or 2 days. If the numbers are big, we have a 2-day event, but at each event they announce the winners for the day who pitched. From there on, we'll proceed to due diligence and contracting. And that's going to take about a month or so. And that's going to happen in March. Okay, anyone with questions? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Zabarinda Grant. I'm an incubatee under the MOBS Entrepreneurship and Incubation Center with a startup called Tuza Industries. My question is about what is required here in the criteria. If someone doesn't reach, maybe, for example, he has not made the 10M within those 2 years, maybe he has 8M, does it also automatically disqualify him? Thank you very much.
I would say yes, but that means that in the next call, you have a better chance of qualifying. Because like I said, we are looking for 500 businesses. If you can't qualify in this one, keep working, raise that money. In the following cohort, you'll definitely make it.
If I have done the foundation course and made it to the pre-selection, the boot camp, somehow I stop at that stage. So I'm not selected to go on to, maybe I don't win, but I've done the course this year. Do I have to repeat the foundation course next year, or is there a way to say you've already gone through that prerequisite, the learning?
So if you've done the course already and you end up being dropped at pitch day, when you come back, you don't have to redo the course. Maybe the only thing you'd have to do is probably revise your business teaser based on what has happened in your business over time and maybe your business plan. But you don't have to redo the course.
My name is Maureen. I'm from Masindi, and I work with Ganjana Bakeries. Neither a startup, and sadly neither am I ongoing, because at the point when the Ukraine war happened, the inflation hit us so much as a bakery that we had to close. So now my request is that this program should be linked to any newly starting business, which means can you kindly link it to URSB? At the point of opening, this information should be at hand. People should be trained enough. You don't want to make mistakes first, then trace your way backwards. So that is my request.
Wait. So your request is that we put the information on the URSB site, or?
Yes. The request is that so that we don't make mistakes as businesses. You don't work out all these things. You're talking about margins. You're talking about break-even points. No one knows what they are as you're starting a business. Yes, you have tried to raise a capital. Why waste it? Why wait 1 year later? I don't have a birthday on 1 year. Then I start learning these things. So my request is that we link it to newly starting businesses.
Okay,
And then
that's noted. Thank you. We'll look into it.
And then about the equity, 6%. Does it mean, first of all, we need to kindly define equity for everybody. What is really 6% equity? Is it of the profits? Is it of all the whole turnover? What really do you want to get as a payback? And then does it also mean that NSSF will have access to the accounts of the company so that they know the 6% equals what? And then how long will the mentorship be for? Because after I've got the $20,000, will you continue mentoring me onwards, and to what point?
Okay, so let me answer her questions. I'll start with mentorship, then I go to the 6%. So the mentorship goes on for the period when you're supporting you. Usually it's up to a year, but it can continue based on your needs. So we don't just drop you and say, okay, we are done, let's move on. No, we can continue supporting you throughout. Now, the 6% equity is on your shareholding. So the shares of a company, at the end of the day, they sum up to 100%. Whether they're 1,000, 10,000, they sum up to 100%. So NSF is saying, give me 6% of those shares. It's not on your revenue, it's not on your profit. It's on your shareholding. I've answered your question. Okay. That is something we would have to look into. I can't commit to it, but it's a good suggestion. We'll look into it. Okay, so we're going to take 3 more questions and then we'll be done. 1, 2, 3, and we're done.
Thank you for the opportunity. Personally, okay, the business is already running for years and all. But then the issue is, the reason why I'm seeking funding is not for the existing work I'm doing. You get it? And yet during the course, since I've already begun it, I will see that it's all about the business that I'm doing. So I'm wondering, like, how would they be able to help me in that? Because this is just an idea that I have. Or, okay, it's related somehow, but then it's not really the business I'm doing.
Okay, maybe to get more context. So you have your business, say it deals in fish.
Yes.
And you've been selling fresh fish, and now you're thinking of exploring fish sausages. Is that the scenario, or you want to start a whole new business?
No. Oh, my issue is, okay, in case she now wants to go into, okay, the industrialization bit. Yes, and then remember, but then with all the information that I am giving during the course, is making a business plan for the existing business, like of me selling and all, getting the fish from the landing site and all. So how do I bring in now that issue of the industrialization? You get me? Because now, like, the business plan is all going to be based on what I am doing.
I hear you, but I know that I believe that in the business plan they ask you maybe what your next 2-3 years look like. Do they?
They did.
Yeah, they do ask. So if you have that ambitious goal of going somewhere else, you can mention it. And as you're pitching, you have to be very sure of what that, if they put that 20,000 in your business, what's it going to do for you to actually get there? Because it might not be enough for you to get there, but it'll probably move you from point A to point B and help you to actually be closer to your goal.
But also, just to add on, when you're making the business plan, as you go along, there's a growth plan. Yeah, as you prepare your pitch deck that you're going to present to the panel, so is where you put a growth plan. So some of the things that you have, or the ideas that you have to scale up, because they're also tracing scalability of your business. So part of that is actually embedded in that. Yeah, in the growth plan, in the ask, they will ask you, what do you want the money for? So part of that is, I will want to do this, to process the fish, industrialization, and all these things. It's part of that. Yeah.
Okay, before we take the last one, there is a registration sheet. I believe it is stuck somewhere. I don't think I've seen it moving yet. Please do sign. Thank you.
Juanita.
Can I go ahead and ask?
Okay, we had another question from him.
I'm going to ask. Yes, my name is Yuho Joseph. I'm working on a startup called FikaPay, and we're digitizing payments. I have like 3 concerns. First of all, I think the course was designed to help an entrepreneur develop, the whole, documentation, the legality and stuff like that. As you're doing the course, does it automatically, because I think there's where you do assignments and stuff like that, does it automatically like give you feedback? And if it does, how long does it take to like get a final feedback? Assume like you have an assignment doing the business plan, does it automatically like give you the feedback depending on what you had submitted? And how long does it take? Then on the other hand, is it a must that you must do the course as a team? Assume you have like a 3 founding team or stuff like that. Are you supposed to take the whole journey with them, or you can do it solely? Thank you.
I don't think I heard your last question. Is it a must too?
I was like, is it a must for you to do it as a team? Because there is a criteria where you say you need 2 full-time employees. So, yep.
Okay. So assignment approval or worksheet approval, that is done by an individual or people. It's not done by a robot. So like we said, you allow up to 24 hours on a weekday. On a weekend, if you submit your assignment on Saturday, expect approval around Monday or Tuesday. Undertaking the course as a team is encouraged, but it's not a must. And the reason we say do it as a team is because we want you to have different opinions and hear from others. How do they see your business? How can you improve? Okay, there was a last question from him.
Yeah, mine goes to her. I heard you mention about personal development, right? Yeah, yesterday Stella from SINA presented in the panelists, and I have worked with SINA, but to hear what you have to say about personal development. Once you get to SINA, you realize that there is a big number of ladies. And actually right now, I think 2 of them have made it to the Social Impact Awards in Germany, amongst all very many Ugandans and entrepreneurs from around the globe that participated in the competition. Now my question to you is, what do you have to tell us about the personal development that you go through? Because if you look at entrepreneurs focus on product development, but actually we need more of personal development as an item in this journey of social entrepreneurship, but also entrepreneurship as a whole. What do you have to recommend or talk about personal development?
Thank you. That's a good question. I think personal development starts with self-leadership, you as a person. The things you believe in, the things that you're going for, the dreams that you have, but how are you able to lead yourself? How are you accountable to yourself? If there's one thing I have learned on this journey is that you have to be accountable to yourself. I had a 9 to 5 before, that's before COVID. And then you have a boss, you have a manager, but now you are the boss. So it zeroes down to, before you lead a group of people, how are you leading yourself first? Yeah, so I think to me personal development stems more on how are you able to lead yourself on a personal daily basis. If I wake up in the morning and say, as an entrepreneur, this is my schedule for the day, ABC, they have a checklist. Am I actually able to say at the end of the day, I have achieved A, B, C, D according to what I outlined to do? So it zeroes down to being accountable to yourself, but also believing in yourself. And I think to all the women out there, what you have to do is that you have to believe in yourself. It's more of a mindset change, so that if you entered in a room and it's full of men, it has nothing to do with gender or anything. Because you can be... you can attack or be given the same opportunities as men, but it all starts with yourself, with a mindset, and how accountable you are to yourself. I just also highlight on that. I don't know if any of you has seen a link that is going around. AFAWA, or African Development Bank, is looking for women entrepreneurs. You've seen it? If someone has seen it. These people are giving about 250,000 USD, yeah? But if you look at the requirements for the grant that they are giving, you have to have existed for about 6 years. Your impact has to be in more than one country. All these things, High Innovator will make it easy for you because you have to start now and be able to exist and be able to make that company, save it, grow it, and then you can be able to attack or meet other bigger opportunities. You get my point? But you have to start here and start now. Yeah.
Okay, we have come to the end of our session. We shall share FAQs for those who have questions, or enroll for the course where you have questions. You can, there's a chatting, what do they call it? There's a part on the academy where you can actually chat with your peers, so you can ask questions and we'll respond. Thank you all for being here. Let's go for the next session. There's a session at Aswa, which is this room. And it's on succession planning for family-owned businesses. I think that's a great one. So thank you all.
So for the rest of the rooms, Perez has told you what's happening in here, succession planning, and we'll have Don Patrick among the speakers, Rena Beverages, and the rest. Then in Kafu, which is next door, the session, it's a masterclass on capacity building, on gender mainstreaming for entrepreneurship support organizations. Then in Bunyonyi, which is the main room, there's a masterclass on fundraising 101 for women entrepreneurs. Here they'll be addressing the myths and conceptions. So please enjoy the rest of the sessions, and thank you all for your questions and attending.
good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have our seats. We are here for the session planning for family business, family-owned businesses. So if you have any person to call to come and join you, is probably gone to another room and said maybe this is what you've signed up for. We are going to start in a few minutes. Please take your seats, find a chair and have a seat. I hope you've all signed up for the High Innovator. If you're having challenges, you can go down and we are one of the partners. My name is Remy Kirunda. I'm the manager in charge of incubation activities at the Makerere University Business School in a unit called Can Select That, and we can walk with you the journey that you've been hearing about the High Innovator. If you have a business, don't leave without coming to me, and then we see whether you fit in the criteria. If you are a man and you have a wife and you've not legalized those things to make them a partner, maybe this is the time to bring the conversation to life and we see how we can tap into these funds. Like they told you, High Innovator is here for 5 years. We've done 3 years, but in just 1 year, we can run as many cohorts. That means you can access funding. So you're all welcome. And don't sit with someone you know. I don't know how you want to grow your business. You know each other. And then, so how are you going to network? One of the reasons as to why we organize these events is for us to network, get to know the other person. You could be building a business idea that is on marketing, and I have a product. I don't know how to go to market. And we could merge, and then we win this money because the fund is there. That I assure you. There's a registration going round. Please do register. Can we use just 2 minutes? Can we stretch a bit? Okay, now can we put our hands like this? And then point your fingers like this. Point. Should be to your neighbor. Your neighbor. Say hello, neighbor. I have seen you. Welcome to the Uganda Innovation Week and the launch of the High Innovator. So this afternoon, we have a session again. It's succession planning for family. It's the Innovation and Incubation Center. Members of the High Innovator team. We've been with High Innovator since its birth, and we want to thank Director and our Principal for that leadership. We've been with High Innovator since its inception. We started the journey, as you heard, those of you who were at the launch, they were talking about MOVE's incubator, so you can walk there. We've supported many, and that's our mission, why we exist. So back to the session. We are talking about family-owned businesses, and the panel you're going to see here, like Dr. Diana will be sharing, are people who are running businesses of that nature. And Dr. Diana Ntamu, along with our principal, who is our lead coach, do conduct research on family businesses. And they will give us insights. So let's put up our spirits and learn and know how we are going to grow our businesses. We may not know that we are actually running family businesses, but that is a finding that they will share with us. So Dr. Diana, you're most welcome. And you will introduce your panel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Remy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We at MOOBS are very excited to be part of the Uganda Innovation Week. And I really want to take this opportunity to thank and appreciate the organizers led by the MasterCard Foundation, NSSF, Outbox, and many other partners who have done a wonderful job putting us together and to discuss important issues on how we can support entrepreneurship and innovation in this country. I don't want to miss appreciating Professor Balunywa, who had he was DS, has grown its program. If you haven't been to his class, I would like to urge you to please ask us or get our contact so we can share with you a link. But also, most important, he was a guild president at MOOBS. So he was such an important person to us at MOOBS. But then we are very proud that I came back to teach, but also he is running a family business. It is very sad to note that Don Patrick's mom passed on, Hajati Aisha Nakasuja. Those of you who know Alowecia Organics, that was the business, family business started by a woman, but who left behind a successor whom I'm very proud to introduce this afternoon. So he's the son to the late Hajat Aisha Nakasuja and Mr. Msoni Joseph. He's a firstborn in a family of 5 children. And I'm happy to mention that he's going to be married by the end of the year. So he's taken. So he was at MOOBS, where I did a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and graduated with an honors. He was guild president, like I said, and served in different capacities. And then he has a master. He has a Master of Science in Marketing from France, Montpellier Business School in France, a member of the Uganda Marketing Society and the Young Professional Managers Association, mentored by Professor Balunywa. And he's a Rotarian. He lectures at the Department of Marketing, but also the reason why he's here today is because he's the general manager of Alowecia Organics. Alowecia Organics has wonderful products. I don't know if you got the opportunity to meet his late mother, who was also our dear entrepreneur and friend. She was a great marketer. Don Patrick, you're very welcome. Please take your seat. And we also have next to me right here is Miss Mary Matovu. I don't know if you have your profile there, but let me just say what I know about you. She founded Maria's Place. When I had, the first time I had Maria's Place, I said, who is that person who is so proud of their place, so they have to tell us it is her place? So this place is Maria's Place. It's a beautiful place in Naguru. She's the person who founded that wonderful facility. She is very, very enterprising. Every time I meet her, she is thinking about something new and how to do what she does better. I remember when we last met about 6 to 7 years ago, she had this wonderful expansion plan. She's been away from Uganda for I think 5 to 6 years? 3 to 4 years. Okay, she's been away from us, but I'll tell you that her business was running, and who was running it? Her daughter. Started and runs a family business. It has grown over the years, and we are going to learn from her. I would like to welcome you, Ms. Matovu. Please take your seat. And also, I would like to introduce Hajati Hadija. And I'm going to so we also have Hajat Hadija Chibirige, who is the finance director for BMK Group. Those of us who have been around in Uganda know the late Haji BMK, Hotel Africana. Who has never been to Hotel Africana? The founder of Hotel Africana unfortunately passed on sometime last year. He passed on sometime last year. He was a friend to Professor Aswa. He came to MOOBS and lectured our students. When we were conducting a study in family business, he participated. She's a daughter to the late Haji BMK. But who is she? She is the finance director at BMK Group of Companies. She also worked at MOOBS. She also studied at MOOBS. She studied at MOOBS, and she's an example of a child that is working in a family business. Remember, today we are talking about how do we get our businesses move from the founder to the next generation and another generation. I would like to welcome you, Hajati Hadija, to please take your seat. And lastly, I'm going to introduce another panelist. This one is Miss Regina Nakayenga. I don't know if she has come with her products, but she's always talking about hibiscus. She's a founder of Rena Beverages. I don't know if you've seen hibiscus done by Rena. Hibiscus tea. She's very passionate. She has Impirivuma and all these wonderful products. She started that business in 2010. She is a teacher. She lectured at Chambogo and decided that she wanted to run a business, and she started this wonderful business. She's going to tell us a little more what she's doing, but I also know that she's working with her children in that business. She is a woman family business founder. I would like us to welcome Miss Regina Nakayenga. Please take your seat. So, we are very well constituted. We are going to listen to the experiences of our panelists, and at this point, I would like to invite Professor Balonywa to deliver his keynote.
Thank you very much, Diana. A very good afternoon to all of you, friends. I want to thank you for the interest in entrepreneurship. The concept of entrepreneurship, when you talk about innovation, innovation is a specific function of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are people who are not comfortable with what they see. They want to see change taking place all over around them. So when you talk about the Innovation Week, essentially we are talking about Entrepreneurship Week. Unfortunately, the Global Week was last week here, and we identified a number of companies that appear to have fitted into the concept of family business. But what is the family business? Literally every business you see around globally is a family business. In fact, 95 to 97% of all global businesses are family businesses. So that tells you about the importance of the family business. In countries like the US, which have perfected business, some of these companies go beyond being a family business, especially when outsiders come in and buy shares in them. But literally, the Ford companies, the Toyota companies, all those you see are family businesses. So who are the founders? Who founds a family business, and why do they found family businesses? The concept of business, unfortunately, in this country is not very firm on the ground. They start businesses to be able to feed themselves, to feed their families. And the issue is why business? The traditional society used to produce for self-consumption. The family would go in the backyard garden and dig and produce and consume. Today, unfortunately, in Uganda, 70% of the people still produce for self-consumption. That's a very big problem. That's why you see poverty around us, because we have not turned what we do into a business. So family businesses are started primarily to be able to sustain families in terms of incomes, education, food. Where does your school fees come from? Maybe your parents are working. So those who are working, most likely they are either working in a family business, or they work in government, or in an NGO. And who funds government? Governments are funded through taxation by business. And I'm saying 95% of all businesses globally are family businesses. Therefore, it's extremely important for us to understand the concept of family business. So who starts it? Globally, Uganda is said to be highly entrepreneurial. About 30% of Ugandans will start businesses. So we are ranked as a very, very entrepreneurial country. But there's a contradiction. Entrepreneurship is supposed to create value, create incomes and jobs. Why are we poor? Yet we are highly entrepreneurial. The developed countries, on the other hand, have between 7 to 12% of people starting businesses. But what have they done different is one which has innovated so that as they start businesses, their businesses are bigger and they employ a large number of people. So family business, they are for money, others for pleasure. There are some people who go out to start a business because they just feel excited about it. So the people who start these family businesses are entrepreneurs. And the oldest family business is Japanese business, which was founded in 1718, I think. I can't remember the name, say Japanese name. But it's still in existence. You can imagine how many years there. But you've heard that most of our businesses fail after 1 year or 3 years. So we have no continuity of family businesses. So something very interesting. While the majority of businesses globally are family businesses, less than 25% are able to transgenerate. So when we hear of businesses that have gone from one generation to the other, those are successful businesses. And why is it so? So just remember that 75% of family businesses fail. They do not go from the first generation to the next. So to be able to get to the third or fourth generation, you go to a company like Ford Motors and you look out, the family is still there. Toyota, the family is still there. So the issue is, in family businesses, is succession. Are the successors entrepreneurial? Now, as family members of family are different. We have all different personalities. You are going to find those who are excited about new things. You're going to find entrepreneurs. You're going to find engineers and accountants and lawyers in the same family. So we have different personalities. And like I said, only 30% will go into business. So the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems of family businesses is succession. The fact that more than 75% fail means there's no succession in more than 75% of family businesses. They either collapse or they are bought, they are closed. And why do they close? Why do they collapse? Because there is no innovation. Any organization, its competitive strategies must be able to be sustainably innovative. And innovation is the success of family business depends on whether the successors are entrepreneurial themselves. That's why you'll find in the developed societies, the successors may actually hire management rather than run the business themselves, because they admit I don't know much about management. I don't know about innovation. So why should I go into business and kill it? So either the person succeeding is entrepreneurial or hires people who are entrepreneurial, or the business will collapse. So our interest in family business is, one, family businesses are established to look after the family. In the traditional Ugandan society, the big families, people used to have many wives because they would go out into the garden and dig. That was the wealth. Today, people don't get wealth in that format. Today, the bigger the family, the more problems that you have. Because you can't pay school fees for the children. But of course, you must also appreciate that in the countryside, this system continues to exist. So our interest in family business is because it plays a very vital role in the lives of millions of people in the world. It is the essence of society because it gives an income, it creates jobs, produces products and services which are consumed by the people out there who are the customers. So we should get worried when the founder either dies or stops having ability to run the business. Will there be succession? Now, our communities are different. The Indian community brings children early into the business. So you'll find that in the Indian businesses, succession is much easier. I am privileged to sit on the Madhvani board. Madhvani is one of the biggest companies in this country, Indian-owned. And the people running the business today are second and third generation family members. They have been able to manage succession. At some stage, the family almost broke up. But no, Indian communities are very closely knit together. So what lessons do we pick? People introducing children early enough into the business is one of the ways of bringing them into the business. But what do your children do? They are not interested in your business. You know? Many of our children are not interested in your business. You may find that you have a son or a daughter who wants to go to singing. But you know, you have this factor of yours, but the child is not interested, but loves the money that comes out of it. You know? So it's very important to interest young people into business. Some families will tell their children, you want money from me, you must work. These are ways in which some of the most successful family businesses have been able to transgenerate. In the European countries, in the Western countries, children take shares into these businesses. And some of them, of course, if they are not entrepreneurial, they hire management. They are shareholders, they have management, the task management to enable the company to succeed. So for us to be able to succeed in our family businesses, to transfer from one generation to the other, we must train the young people, the family members, into business. If we don't do that, it's going to be very difficult for the children to come and join you. Maybe they're interested in something else. So family business in this country, we have looked at a variety of families, and there are not so many that have been able to move from one generation to the other. We looked at the Chitaka family, which was quality chemicals. We have a paper, I think, published, and some other families which we've been able to study. We've looked at Wavamuno, we've looked at Murwana, and all these are promising family businesses that are continuing with the children. So we are privileged to have Dawn here, succeeding the mother. Dawn, congratulations. And also Hajat here, who is also part of the management of their father's business. I think we'll hear her for family needs, food, transport, school fees, and to ensure the well-being of the family. And the only thing that can do this well is business. It is business that will create jobs, give you products, and sustain government. Government can only sustain itself if there is taxes being collected. And taxes are paid by businesses founded by family members. I want to wish you a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much, Diana.
I thought we could do more than that for Prof. It should be hearty, from the heart, because when Prof was delivering that keynote speech, he spoke from the heart and what he has done. He has interacted with the majority of these founders of family businesses. I would also like to say that those are not many. They are not many. You can only count them, especially the ones that have been around for 20 years or more. You'll find a lot of family businesses have been around maybe up to 5 to 10 years, but when we go to 15 years and beyond, then we begin to count them on the fingertips, and that's why we are here to talk about how exactly do we become that Japanese company. 600 years. Would like to see our companies go to 600 years. And I'm going to start with Hadija from BMK Group. We saw Haj Chibirige doing a great job, started a number of companies, and we are happy that you as a child, part of the business, would like you to share your experience on how the business has continued. What is it that was put in place to ensure that you and possibly other family members are in this business and it continues to run? Very quickly, tell us about your company and respond to the question. Thank you.
Professor Balunya, my teacher. By the way, I'd forgotten that he's my lecturer. Dr. Antamu, members on the panel, members in this meeting, good afternoon. I'm humbled and happy to be here. This could be the first of this kind, but I'll try to give my experience. BMK Group, the company is it has a number of companies, but as BMK itself, BMK Uganda, that one is in charge of buildings and the hire of equipment. Then it is in the hospitality business, where we have a number of hotels, Kampala, Moroto, Zambia, and some others coming up like Arua. I thank God for that. I've worked in this company. Maybe a small correction, I'm a sister, not a daughter. But I've worked in this company for over 25 years, since when I was still a young girl. Chairman, the late, was a very creative person and very innovative. maybe that led also to the expansion and growth of this institution. I've worked from a cleaner to a storekeeper to a clerk to accountant, then finally the financial director. The post I've held for now about 10 years. I finished my master's. I hold a bachelor's in business administration, majoring in accounting. Then I hold master's in finance and accounting, and this one I completed in 2007. So after that, I was promoted to that post, of which I think I've performed well. Experience I have got in BMK, there are many, but the most important one is being open and transparent. If you have a business, especially when you're working with family members, it would be very important that you keep on putting them in the know of what is happening. And some will challenge you, some will advise you. I know at the end of the day, the decision of the owner, but keeps aside and say, maybe this person said this could be important. So the people you're working with as family members, it is important that they know the information that is important. If they know, this can help this business to continue because they have been involved in the running of the business and the decisions. It can help to continue with the business even when the initial proprietor is not there. Another important reason why this business may continue is educating the family members, because it is very important that these people that you're employing, much as they could be your children, that they qualify to be in the posts they are holding. I'll give an example that if I'm to give financial advice, it comes from a person who knows what finance means. And if you have construction, it's better. If you have an engineer who can help the team to make the informed decisions. So education and experience is very important. It can be the respect to the other members who have been working in the company. Because you cannot say the business is entirely for family members if it is big. Now for BMK Group, you can talk of about 800 staff. So you cannot say these are all members of the family. So even if you have some members who are family members, but the respect and respecting the members in the management, it can help to continue with the business, because these people have experience, they have worked in the business for some time. So when you respect them, you will not struggle for the power to take over their posts. You're there, you're an owner, but you respect them and you respect their decisions. So it is very important that you respect them. Another reason why the business can continue from one generation to another is putting a system before you die. These systems can be many, but the most important one is having rules and regulations to be followed in the business. For example, if the proprietor their allowances, but not to assume that the business is their money to use. So the system will help so that even when the proprietor is not there, the next generation will also find this business and continue with it. Me time.
Thank you very much. I think that is from BMK. We know that Haji is resting, but she's here to say why the business continues to run, even when he's away. 36 years, founded in 1986. Professor talked about the important role played by family businesses. You heard from her submission, 800 staff, employing 800 staff. She talks about creativity, the importance of creativity, and you know what is happening there. So it is very nice to hear from you because the founder is gone, so we have the second generation. I know that you are a sister, but the business is in the hands of the next generation. But she also mentioned something very interesting, that family members should be educated. She was at MOOBS. She has a Master's of Science in Finance and Accounting. She's finance director. And that's why, as a family member, she can comfortably stay in that business. You give them the education they need to serve. I'm going to go to Don Patrick, because I would like to start with the experience of those that have succeeded. I remember that the late Hajatina Kasuja was very creative. Every time you met her, she had a new product. She had something different to share with us and very passionate about it. I would like you to tell us about Aloysia Organics and how you were prepared to take over and how it is all going with keeping up with the needs of the customers, given that she was very creative and gave us new things most of the time. First, what about Aloysia? Next, how she prepared you for succession and how it is all going. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Diana, Professor Aswa, my teacher and mentor. It's a pleasure to be sitting amongst these very powerful women. Yeah. They are my mothers, so it's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Bujingo Don Patrick, and I am serving at Aloysia Organic as Managing Director. And to say something about Aloysia Organic, this is a company which was started in 2012 by the late Hajat Aisha Nakasuja, my lovely mother. May her soul rest in peace. So this business starts with a dream of hers of professionalizing the field of organic and herbal medicines or natural medicines, together with cosmetics and many other products that have raw materials sourced from nature. But as you know, this industry has had problems of its perception from the public. Many people feel that these products are not so much well packaged, not so much of good quality, because of what has been known to be the norm. So hers was to professionalize the business and ensure that she can be able to reach out as many people as she could. She had a wealth of knowledge that she had acquired, partly through education, but mostly through experience and also through her late mother, my grandmother. Now, for her, it was the challenge that she felt she needed to do. So to date, Aloysia Organic makes 10 years. We are a 10-year-old company that deals in the manufacturing and research of herbal products. These are medicines, supplements, cosmetics, and many other products that we're introducing. We have soft drinks, oils, and many others that are in the pipeline. Now, over the years, she was very, very passionate about ensuring that there was a bit of continuity, not just in the company, but in the industry. So it was a dream of hers to start an institute. And in 2018, we started Aloysia Organic Training Institute that sits on over 50. And the purpose of the institute is to train people in this field, mentor them, grow them right from the knowledge of everything, nature, plants, herbs, and their value into being entrepreneurs that are independent. So we have over 75 staff that we work with, both permanent and temporary, in the different units where the company operates. It's headquartered at Shore House, Bombo Road in Kampala. And then we also have another branch in Masaka. The training institute sits in Bombo, at the same place where the farm sits, where we grow these herbs and the different plants and trees. And then we recently also opened an ecotourism center in Bombo because we felt nature had so many things, unique things to offer, and ecotourism was one of them. A place where you can go and refresh yourself, so much beauty in nature as the birds are chirping around, beautiful and fresh winds are blowing, and it's value. Like Professor said, entrepreneurship is always about creating value. So in this entire story of Aloysia Organic, where do I come in? I was privileged to be born of a very, very knowledgeable and lovely woman who thought that it was important that her children are engaged in the business. And it was not just at the point of involvement in the business, but at business. I began to work in the business as soon as it was started because I was in my senior 6 vacation. And for me, it was something to explore because I was in my vacation. I literally had nothing to do as per se. So it was something I was happy to engage in. So starting working in the business, I think for me it was beautiful because in that way I was able to appreciate the journey of growth and the beauty that comes with seeing something grow. Because then you appreciate humble beginnings. The business started first unit down near Chiseka Market, HBT complex, in a small unit with products that are unlabeled. We used to simply write at the bottom of those products the names of the products. And, I used to move around, make deliveries, and then, count stock. And for me, I started to see the business grow. And that journey was important for me because the first point is involvement. Doctor, you asked about how I was prepared. Involvement from day one. And I'm sharing both these stories because whoever is sitting in this room, you could easily find yourself as a founder or as a successor. Unfortunately, you can't be both of the same business, but you'll be one of them. So it's important to know both sides of the story. Now, for me, it was really about the openness to be able to learn. Because you could be somebody that wants your children to be involved, but it's another thing for them to also want to be involved. I must say the element of interest, which Professor highlighted, comes in very handy. My mother probably was very passionate about herbal medicine and everything, natural healing, wellness, and so on. She could have been born with that interest somehow or was nurtured into being interested. So I couldn't have found myself, because I'm born of a mother who loves the same, that somehow naturally I'll have the interest. So she made the effort herself to make sure that I was involved in the business. But also, the element of being involved based on merit is very, very important. I was in my senior 6 vacation. I couldn't have been the general manager of the business. I barely knew a thing about business. But see where the opportunity comes in for me to join MOOBS and then again start my Bachelor of Science in Marketing. That was honestly my best time in school. Because during daytime, I was doing an evening program. During daytime, I was in the business working. And in the evenings, I was at MOOBS studying. For me, it was very enjoyable because I was studying things that I would go back and relate with or do the next day. It was that enjoyable. And I appreciate her always sharing, because as you're mentoring your successor, you're never going to say every Saturday morning from 9 to 11, we have classes. You may never have a chance to have it that organized that you'll mentor your people that way. But it was a process, it was a time and again, it was an all through the day kind of procedure that she followed. You're walking, heading somewhere, she tells you something. In the morning before you leave home, she tells you something. You could be driving, going somewhere, she tells you something. So all these things I kept picking up. And for me, they built something very, very valuable. I then, because of my interest and my having studied marketing, got into digital marketing. I opened up the company pages, relating with what exactly was happening. I then came through to become digital manager, then marketing manager, then general manager. And I think all of us in our lives, we need people that can talk and speak into our lives to help us feel that we can be better. And for me, that was my mother. That was my mother. She always made me feel that I could do things immensely. It was one of the first people I told about having had the interest to stand for guild presidency. She felt that was something achievable. But she said, but politics. I thought I'd just call it leadership. And she was always very happy to support me. I want to run to the point where the element of succession starts to come in. My mom felt it was very important that after my bachelor's, I go for my master's immediately. Personally, I would have felt that I had some more time to probably do some more business and then do my master's later on. Immediately 2017 I was done. She felt 2018 I had to do my master's. I thank Professor because through having been at MOOBS, being involved with the French embassy, I got a partial scholarship and family was able to pay for the other part. But Professor permitted this to happen. Said, you go and study because it's for the better, surely. You're bringing value back. I left for France in 2018. I was there till 2020 at the start. I did my Master of Science in Marketing and I came back. When I came back, I should have left the country in that very year to go back for graduation. But before, my mother had insisted that I had to come back here. For me, I thought I could have stayed for a month and graduated at once and then came back. She insisted, yes, you need to come back now. But I said, you're going to spend money on a ticket to come back for just a month and then have to go back to France. I think God speaks through our parents in certain ways. When I came back to Uganda, it was hardly 2 weeks or something when COVID hit the world. France was locked up. All my friends that had stayed there had no way of coming back to their homes or name it. And as an individual, I now saw the beauty of the wisdom that she had, used to tell me to come back. My mom insists I should stay. COVID strikes, countries are locked up. I can't go back for graduation. It's even cancelled. I then just stay and begin working in the business. 2021, COVID becomes more intense. I lose my mother to COVID. Now, the time I came back, because I was absent from 2018 to 2020, but for the short time I came back, it gave me more room to be able to be involved in the business. And I'll tell you where the challenge comes in, that doing family business is rather sometimes a challenge, to be honest, because you are balancing competence versus loyalty and so many other things therein. But one, I remember, she always shared knowledge. All through, she always shared what she knew, who she knew, and whatever they knew them for. Miss Nakayenga here will tell you, whenever we went for exhibitions or anywhere, she would come and say, my son, this is Miss Nakayenga, she does this, this is her product, this is her business, and Mama Rena, this is my son. That introduction that she often made amongst her friends, they became the friends that I now know about and the people that I still interact with. I want to resolve and conclude this in the moment and what happened when Mom was now gone. I was in the very hospital where Mom passed on. It so happened at that moment I was by myself. But the moment she passed, I felt myself wearing this new jacket of responsibility that I knew so well about. But then again, I felt a certain form of strength because I now knew that I was to do what she was preparing me for. Biggest challenge was, how do we go on? Because you may prepare for these things, but you never prepare for that moment when somebody's gone. But I must say that because all these things happened over the years, and I kept observing my late mother, her creativity was so unique. But I think when I look back at some of these things, because it was upon her passing that many of these other things that she did made sense all of a sudden. The introductions that she made to people, having encouraged me to ensure that I go and study very quickly, immediately after my bachelor's. Because trust me, if she had passed on somewhere in between there, I don't think it would have been possible for me to do both. And to date, I still say, and I say this everywhere that I go, that Alois Organic still runs to a greater extent, not because of the person that runs it now or the people that came after, but most importantly because of the founder and her values. Because everything else stayed in Alois Organic, her values, her work ethic, her commitment, everything else stayed but her physical self. So for me, I want to just ask all of us that are into family business, pick the things that matter. Because it's inevitable when the founder dies, surely something will die in the business. It's inevitable. When the founder dies, something will die because that was a very, very unique individual. Something will die. But that in that gap is where succession planning comes in. You choose what must stay. My mother's relations with her clients, the people that she held so close, it was difficult to retain those because she had those relations with those people. They knew her as an individual. So, in knowing that something will definitely die when the founder dies, you must choose what must stay and then be intentional about what must stay. My last remark on this one, Doctor. Because we all know, and it is inevitable that, something must die and so on and so forth when somebody passes on. It is important for us as founders of businesses, and the same remark goes to the successors, but most importantly, the founders. You must choose to die in quotes, while your business still lives. So you give it an opportunity to live when you actually die, or when you're actually gone. How do you die in quotes? Choose to step aside when you still have the time to watch people make mistakes. I appreciate that because my mom did it. Step in, make mistakes, make the errors. They're not always that grave, but when the mistakes are made and you have a chance to correct them, you'll have had a chance to see, to catch sight, at least a glimpse of what your business will look like after you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for sharing that. It's really emotional. Those of us that were close to your mom, but it also gives us confidence that what she created lives beyond her, and that is our desire. That was her dream, and we appreciate that she made effort to introduce you to the business at such a time when you were ready. S6 vacation. I know a number of founders who may not be able to involve their children, and that's a big mistake, because when the kids do not know what's happening, and like Prof said, they only want to get the money, they don't know where the money comes from. It's a big problem. But from your experience, Dawn, it's very important that children are involved really early. And I think you mentioned what Hajat here mentioned, involving people, sharing information is very important for people to know what is happening, for you're conversant with what's going on. You also talk about something important, that you had to come to MOOBS, you did your bachelor's, you did your master's, and when the time came for you to take over, you would be able to do it because you had mastered certain areas of business that would allow you to carry the business forward. And you also mentioned something important, that step aside and see what happens. And now this takes me to Mary, because she actually stepped aside. I missed her a lot. We always invited her to speak to us at MOOBS, but for the last 4 to 5 years, she was away. Please share with us about Maria's Place. What is Maria's Place? What do you do? But most importantly, how did you prepare your daughter, who is also my friend, Anna, to do what is on your heart when you're so far away? How did you prepare her? How did it feel? And on return, What has the business gone down, or has it continued to grow? What do we take from you? Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Prof, it's always a great pleasure for me to be in your company. Thank you so much. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mary Matovu. I am actually an OG of MOOBS, by the way, despite the age. I own Maria's Place. Maria's Place is actually located or situated on Agolo Hill. And we offer services, different services, both accommodation and garden services. Probably it would be interesting for you to know why I started that business and where I came from. This business has been in existence for 22 years. Before 22 years, I was actually a civil servant. I'd served a number of years. I won't even tell you because you're going to know how old I am. So I decided to take voluntary retirement because 11 years behind, I had lost my husband. And my children were young, the oldest was like 18 years. The baby Anne was probably, just coming to 6 or something. I knew that the income from salary wouldn't really be able, I wouldn't be able to look after my family. So somehow, I made consultations from three people. By the way, one of them was Madivani. You'll be surprised. There's a young man called Aswa there. I knew them very well, and the Madivans, my late husband was their lawyer. So I consulted them, and they told me, and then they told me that, you can't make it. Just employ yourself and go into service industry. When I consulted some friends, of course I had got some package as you retire from civil service voluntarily, but then I was advised that, civil servants know nothing about those shops in Kampala and all that, go into a service industry. But then the service industry, I had 3 guiding principles. I said, I am not going to pay rent when I start, employing myself. And I said, listen, I have to keep my social class because it's so important. I've been nurtured, these people know me and I know them, and they're the ones to support me. Then another one, I needed some international relations because my nature of job, we interacted so much with all these other, in embassies, like World Bank and all that meetings. I said, now what fits in there? I said, I'm going to start accommodating foreigners in my home. And then I said, I have a big garden. This big garden should host functions for my Ugandan counterparts. Indeed, it worked. So I started, hosting like students from overseas, and I introduced myself to NGOs. The NGOs, they have those people who come and they don't have much money to spend in hotels. They would rather they stay in home-set environments. So that became one of my niches. And for the garden functions, first of all, I just offered that garden for free for people I knew would, get crowds. And from those crowds, people would actually ask them, how did you get that garden, And then from there, I started putting value on my garden, and it turned out to be very well, We host many functions, wedding functions, traditional functions like introduction. We host like seminars, small seminars, we also host like exhibitions in the garden because, young people, of course, now they are, into these things. So that is probably the background of Maria's Place. Now, what happened later, I had to, to perfect my services. But then I lacked some knowledge because having been a civil servant, you don't know how to do business because, business needs a bit of aggressiveness. I said, listen, I have to go back and study business. Don't ask me how old I was, but I went back to MOBS. I had studied at Uganda College of Commerce that time. But then I went back to MOBS, did business administration for 2 years after that. Because I needed some international relations, there was a course had just been introduced, a course of, international business administration. So actually we were the second pioneers. I joined on the wagon and then also grabbed it. Well, from that experience, I was studying, I was working, and my children were going to school. But, I managed to put everything together, and then, we started real business. So, later on, after some good maybe 5 years or 6 years, I did so well with accommodation. Because accommodation, you learn so many things, and many people came to know about Maria's Place through word of mouth, all these NGOs they could tell. So I ended up getting by a big market, almost 85% of my guests were from USA. And they can be generous, and they can be attached to the services, and they're very friendly people. So that one really helped me a lot to pay school fees for my children. We are going into international schools, and all that worked out anyway. So after that, all is done, then I had to do what? To involve the kids. 2 of my children were not, lived overseas, and 2 of them were here. These are 3 boys, the older ones, and my youngest daughter also, joined me in business. What I did, I made sure that when she goes to study, she studies something relevant to the concept we have of offering accommodation, leisure, and kind of tourism. So when she went to Malaysia, she studied tourism and hotel management. And they offer very good packaging courses. So when she came back, and, I requested her to join, not to get a job, but to work at Maria's Place. She's a very humble girl. She said, that's okay. So we started working together. Because, of course, she was more educated in that field than I was, I made sure that she takes over all the responsibility of bookings, managing the functions, booking the guests and all that. And fortunately, his brother also is an IT expert here. He has got a big job, in a big enterprise, but he could spare time and do some work for Maria's Place, especially in terms of marketing and all that. Now, it was, I had to identify where one of them is stronger than the other. And, I had to set principles first, that this business has to run on integrity, on honesty, on transparency, and mainly efficiently. And when I talk of efficiently, it meant with the service industry, you must keep your word, and you must deliver the service the day, the minute, that everything you are supposed to do, to deliver it. So they learned that. And the staff, I involved my staff, so that it's kind of, they also owned, it felt like they have ownership of the service at Maria's Place. So I had to do a bit of training, especially for those ones who cook and all that, so that, when you get these foreign guests, They can cook for them, give them breakfast and all that. And they did that. So another thing that was so key to me was actually growing garden service in the service industry in Kampala. Because Maria's Place was the pioneer. We never feared the competition because I had learned that with the competition, you are going to improve your services. So whoever wanted to start garden businesses, I was there to teach them how to do it and what was necessary. So that one also made Maria's Place, it gave us a kind of a hedge over others, because in business or in life, people will always go with someone they know before they go with something new. So that one also helped Maria's Place, to get a market. We ended up having a big market that many weddings were, people gave us many wedding receptions, all those traditional functions and all that. But then another thing I want to share with you is that, like me as a person, I had gotten a loan. The loan was when I was finishing, the Maria's Place, which is my home, by the way, because that's where I live, and that's where I started business. So I made sure that the money we make at Maria's Place had to pay the loans we got to expand. So my children had the responsibility to make sure that they make money to pay for the loan. And to me that was very important, because it made them own the business and saw the importance of business, and they know the existence of the business because it solved so many things. Because our business grew from probably, I won't say the amount, but maybe over 100% in the last time we've been in business. But they have contributed to making that money to finish that loan. The loan we completed like about a month ago. We took it ran for 29 years. So it was actually retired about a month ago, meaning that 29 years, they have probably contributed over half of it to pay for that loan.
Okay,
and that one
I'm going to ask you to go to the part where you stayed away in the interest of time.
Yes.
How did you prepare?
Yes.
And
now,
what happened?
I tell it was like about 4 and a half years ago. I went to the States just to visit, one of my sons. Unfortunately, I stayed longer than I expected, almost 4 years, because one of my sons was ill and I had to take care of him. So I was worried that what is going to happen to my business, especially that commitment I had of the loan. But guess what? These 2 kids did so well, they paid the loan. But the reason is that because I had delinked my services to them, from me to them, like by the time I left, they were, they were the ones handling the finance part of it. They were actually receiving money, banking it, dispersing it. That made the business really run as if I wasn't here. And the values I gave them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I think we're running out of time, but we don't want to miss the experiences from Maria's Place. We learned quite a lot again. The role of values, very, very important. What values are we creating and instilling in our children to enable them, run the business? Again, from her experience, the kids were involved quite early. But she also mentioned something that Hajati mentioned, getting the people who are not family members to feel that they are part of the business is very important. And she also emphasizes the role of training, education and training. You'll need business knowledge to run a business. We're going to go to Rena, and we know that Rena has spoken to us many times. She is running a family business, and would like to know how you've been able to interest your children in the business. What kind of plans are you putting in place in regard to succession? Very quickly after Rena, I think we shall go straight to the question and answer session because we have been asked by the organizers to manage time. So.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Indeed, I'm honored to be listened to by all of you. Professor, I honor you. Diana, the same, and the panel. And before I proceed to my point, I really want the audience to know that we are proud of our son. Yeah, and he's quite respectful. I don't know whether you are aware that the youth, you have to be respectful if you are to succeed. And the friends of your parents are friends of the family, and they help you to grow properly, and they really nurture you. So, I'm Nakainga Regina. I'm the founder of Rena Beverage Solutions. The idea came after a training in value addition. Then I shared it with my children, and they were saying, oh yeah, Mom, it is good. At that time, these kids were going to school, and so we prepared juice together for them. But the thing took on because of its quality, and people started demanding for it. So nearly everyone had a role to play, but they were really involved in the preparations. They were involved in generating ideas. For example, in winemaking, we learned how to make wine, putting it in the jerry can. Then one of them jumped up and said, Mom, I've found out you can make it in a large jar. I said, okay. And then in many times, the designs of the products, the designs of the labels, or the packaging, they are their own initiatives. I really respect their ideas. I appreciate them. And we work side by side. In the interest of time, I'm going to cut the long story short. My children, I don't know how it came about, but they are scientists. One of them is in human nutrition and is playing a key role in supervising quality, in coming up with the ideas which are appropriate internationally. While we would say, let us talk so much about this and this and no. Let us emphasize this one point. It will make more sense, and it indeed makes more sense. Then another one is a medical doctor. And previously, when we were pitching here for the high innovator, he's the one who took over. So he said, Mom, I'm going to come. I will spend a night in your home. He's married, he's a medical doctor, but he came, slept over, and he went through the thing, and he made it. So involving our children and giving them opportunity to exhibit what they know, to contribute what they can, and also the founder accepting that new generations have new insights which beat your insights in terms of, for example, the .coms. Me now, I'm outdated. I cannot do the computer game as they can. I can have the concept, but translating it into the real-time trend things is now a big challenge to me. But they take over. I think some of you are seeing my packaging. Someone was supposed to bring them here. But at least before a person even drinks the thing, he's saying, wow, the packaging is good. And it is their brains. Yes, I edit, I give them the insights, but I'm giving them the opportunity. And you know what? They are really dying to see RENA as a generation company. They are even helping us with the farmers groups. We are working with farmers groups to help us source the raw materials. One of them went and slept in the village there to really establish the system, which was so nice. She just told me, Mom, let me put in the fuel. Then we had some interns that came. She said, no, let's go with this intern. I will take her there. And we do something. Let's build a sustainable institution. So, in short, what we are saying is that plan together with your children, involve them, share as much as you know about the business so that they understand and appreciate. But also reward them, pay them, and look for opportunities to find real money to ensure that you are all happy. The last thing we are doing now are the tea bags. We have struggled round, but now it is like we are pressing the right button. So the hibiscus tea bag made by RENA is a premium product, and it has real market and real money. And actually, we are launching it on 29th of this month in the Silver Springs Hotel. Professor, we shall be highly honored, and the others. And because we have done it right, because we are involving the right people, even the financiers said, the cost for the launch, let us foot it.
Amazing, amazing. Beautiful. Thank you very much. From RENA, she's working with her children. We also learn from the panelists that it's not possible to have all your children work with you. I think you heard that. Get to interest some of the children. Some of them will work with you full-time, while the others will go and work elsewhere and come and support you. I think we've just heard that the medical doctor, the human nutritionist are helping to work and support the business. She also mentioned something very critical. The world is moving so fast. You can't just catch up. You need the young people. I think I know one young person here in the mind, Professor Balunywa. I think Professor he's at the same level with the young people, and so he's always up to date, and he helps to bring most of us on board, those of us who are running, back athletes sometimes, but clearly we have heard from the panelists that you will not run a business successfully from all the panelists without involving the family members, without sharing information, without getting them interested. And I see young faces here. You started a company, you plan to start one, and you're saying, but anyway, I'm not running a family business. It can be a family business because Hajati here was working with her brother. So you can work with your brother, you can work with your sister, your cousin, that is family. And when the children come, then we apply the strategies that they just shared. So thank you so much, our panelists. I would like to open this up for the Q&A. I'm going to request, because of time, please be very precise and mention the person to whom the question is directed.
Thank you so much. My name is Maureen. I'm from Masindi. I run a bakery. This is for Professor. How best can trusts work? Why? Because we have this thing of musika, or in my language as we call it omugwetwa, and they take everything. Is a trust a solution? And then this goes to Dawn, decision making. How was the process with your mom? How is the process with the company? Who makes the decision and how are they made? Rena, there's an issue of husbands seeing their wives succeeding. And when they succeed, they want to take over again everything in terms of, oh, now I want a joint account. Next thing you're hearing, you take the responsibilities of household goods and everything. How else can we protect the woman's business from the men who realize that their wives are finally successful? And then this goes to Maria's place, sorry. The question is, how do you keep your children interested? But also, how do you choose which child does what business? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think she had the privilege to ask all the panelists. The rest of the people can only ask one person. One question, crisp.
Good evening. My name is Irene Tracy Namkove. I'm based in Jinja, a farmer and a farm input distributor. But I also had the privilege to meet Madame Ren at some program. And she experienced this. To Professor, how do we deal with inequality, especially in family business, where a young girl like me have seen an opportunity and take it to the family members, but just because I'm a female and then I'm among the young ones, they dish the whole thing. So you're left to gambling of, let me try it on my own. If it works, they'll come about that. How are we supposed to handle that?
Hello, my name is Lisa Namunga, alumni MOOBS. You are my guild president. So my question goes to Hajati. How do you deal with the issue of rigidity? Tracing back the family legacy to 36 years ago. And as a creative and an innovator, I want things to move really, really quickly. But I do acknowledge that there are people in the family that, want to stick to the old ways and prefer the way of the old broom. And the other question is with the issue of entitlement, do you know who my father is kind of situation. So how do you deal with that?
Okay, we're going to have the speakers respond.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those questions. Trusts. Some families, yes, make trusts before possibly the founder dies. But a trust cannot run a business. A trust really holds the property on behalf of the beneficiaries, like children. But the succession, the transfer, there is need to pass on to somebody who is entrepreneurial. But it raises questions that have been raised also. Fairness and so on and so forth. Maybe Don will tell us how are they distributing the benefits. But what I learned from the Madivan family is that the founding father, Muljibai Madivan, had 6 boys, and each boy had 1 share. But you go with that 1 share in the original business. So when the original business was kind of destroyed, the beneficiaries were not happy with it, but they came back out of the original Madivan family. So a trust should be able to hold for the beneficiaries. The trust normally employs when you bring the business into the family. I think families vary, and each family has its own problems. But I think what is important is sitting together and agreeing on why the business and your contributions. Normally, what I've seen, the most entrepreneurial of the family members tends to take the decisions because he or she is bringing the money. So if you are younger and you are bringing in the money, people must listen to you. So there is need to make an agreement. Establish a company limited by shares and know your shares, which gives you your voting rights, which will also give you your interest in the business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. And I'm going to request the panelists to respond.
She said she's Namuga. Happens to be maybe my niece, because I'm Nakaiza. Quickly, rigidity and entitlement. That I can term it as a struggle. But if you leave the children when they are respectful, polite, and disciplined, they will listen. What my brother did, he got sick 6 years before he died. So we ran the business for 6 years when he was sick. And he left a goodwill. Everyone must hold the post they are holding for the next 5 years. That's when you can think of the transition. So we have managed, because the children are disciplined, the rigidity and the entitlement have not come in for now. But also maybe leaving a very good board whereby major decision making is within the board. The board must include the family members and non-family members. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Mary?
Yes, you asked, how I interested my kids to be part of my business. Maria's Place does outsourcing because we are into service industry. So we outsource many products. So my children were given priority to whatever they can actually, whatever they can own can be outsourced by Maria's Place, and Maria's Place pays them. For example, like we needed tents, chairs, and tables. My son owns that, and he ended up owning so many, which he also, hires outside. And my daughter, was into decoration and management, so we gave her the part of managing the event. And my daughter-in-law is good at decoration, so we outsource her services as decoration. So they end up owning the function and the business, and they end up earning even much more than I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the question. Mine was about decision making when mom was still present. As a founder, to a great extent, it was usually herself and management, but I was happy to always be involved in these decisions that were made. And where there was a disagreement, clearly she was the founder, and I did respect that. And I felt like there needed to be a little bit of a shift after she passed. We are in the process of constituting an advisory board, and the purpose of this also was to ensure that the interests of the company are protected. Because the company is an independent body from myself and my siblings. So 2 of my sisters who are above 18, I have ensured that they are fully involved together with management in the making of these decisions, to ensure that they don't appear to be biased, even when they may not be, but their involvement is key, that they know what's going on. It's a family business. Even if they are still in school, I have always asked them to ensure that they attend all management meetings, just so that they know. Just so that they know. So it's important for me, after mom's passing, I felt like now the challenge was upon me. She luckily found herself a successor. That was my next challenge now. Who will run the business after me? So my involving of my sisters is very, very fundamental to that decision, to ensure they know and understand everything that I'm doing, because now it's for a long-term goal. I want to ensure that this business will live beyond myself. We have a legacy to protect. So decision making is really ultimately with them, together with management.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Don. And lastly, Regina, and we'll close this.
Yeah, what about husbands who could be at the fence watching the business grow, then all played? By the way, for us, everybody earns from his or her sweat. Much as there is a basic pay, what you put in is what you earn. And then the money is banked, and there is a finance person who manages. So there is no way you are going to play about with anything, even if you are the what, even if it is me.
Thank you, very clear. So thank you so much. A big round of applause to our keynote speaker and panelists. Thank you so much. We've been honored. It's been an honor to be with you this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we take away lessons from this exchange. I would have wished that it was extended, but the time could not allow us to do that. But I believe that we've learned. And we're going to do a picture. I'm going to request Prof to please join with the panelists so we can have a picture. I know Regina is always ready with her products. I believe you'll go away with one of these hibiscus, okra, and all these beautiful products, mpiri vuma, and you'll be healthy. I'm going to ask that we come here and take a picture.
Photo, please. Down here, will they see them? Will you see this one sitting here? So we go succession, success. We do success, all of us? Good. Success. Again, success, people, success. Thank you, people. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have awards. I hope you voted for a different number of people as I Startup Uganda Awards. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.